All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market show. Hope everyone had an amazing day yesterday, and hope you're having an amazing morning today. Good morning, Peter. How are you doing?
Carlos, I am fantastic. Good morning to you and
Up and
welcome
up here.
back.
Cannot hear you. Let me make sure I have my. There we go. Check now. Can you hear me, Peter?
I can hear you fine. Hopefully, you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Loud and clear. All right, guys.
There you go. I was saying welcome back. We're very happy to have you back here in the pre-market show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be back. I missed you guys. It's been a while. Felt like it's been forever. It's only been 5 6 days, but it felt like it's been a month. So it's good to be back, guys. Thank you so much for all the well wishes. My wife and I truly appreciate it. Everybody's been sending me emails and messages and tweets, and again, I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very, very much. So, with that said, guys, let's get to it. I have not been trading, so I'm a little bit out of touch on what the markets have been doing. I've been looking at the SPY and the trades and recaps you guys are taking, so I've been keeping up with that. But overall, I'm not sure how things have been going so far. So, Peter, I don't have a watch list for yesterday. So, if you want to give us some tickers that you probably traded or something that traded well yesterday to kind of go over what we did yesterday.
Yeah, Carlos, the first one for you to pull up, and I'll just take down my screen here, but is absolutely KRTX. So that's the place to start. It was the big tail of the day. It
Oh,
was up over 350%. On Friday, it closed the day probably around $17, and it peaked at $100 yesterday. So the bigger story out of that, though, was the fact that well, for me, I actually traded at pre-market at 32, got out at 35, felt pretty good about myself when it broke back down to 30. Right after the open, Brian, and he's done this before, he sort of said to himself on air, "Geez, this thing's going to go to 100," and he called it. I mean, he nailed it to the penny. So it was pretty impressive. Tough thing to trade, I find, but it was there was a big run up on some news of some drug trials.
wow,
The
that
other
is
one, which
incredible.
was the other one yesterday that was sort of a big mover midday was Intelsat. It's interesting how the world has changed. So the FCC chairman tweeted tweeted an announcement that they're deciding to allow the C-band airways to go to a public auction rather than letting the satellite companies sell them through private sales, which they traditionally have. This is going to cost Intelsat hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, and not through even a press release, just through a tweet. So, and look at what happened with Intelsat. This is a big company, one of the major satellite providers and management companies on the planet. And for it to drop by something like 40% and keep going this morning, it was pretty big news.
Wow, yeah, look at this. Incredible. Anything else we have that everything so far has been very drastic. So it looks like it was an
Yeah, well,
interesting trading day.
I traded a couple of things. Both Disney and Microsoft moved well for me yesterday. So more, on our traditional stocks, that's more what I was actually trading. Disney's been active ever since their launch of their Disney Plus channel, and then the announcement, of course, that they had 10 million subscribers in the first 24 hours. So they've been sort of
Hmm.
riding that wave, and there's been consistent momentum. Microsoft was just a good mover. I took it on a setup that I love, which was which played out well. What else did we have yesterday? YNDX moved yesterday on announcements that's a Jap, no, not even Russian company. I will get the country right. That they've been struggling because there was new rules put in place in Russia for foreign ownership, and YNDX was getting hit with that. So they've agreed with the Kremlin on a restructuring plan that would manage that foreign ownership issue, and we saw a bump in their stock price yesterday. And the only other one that I would mention, Carlos, is LK. LK has been a little bit of a strange one in that they had earnings. Nothing much happened after the earnings, but then LK has sort of come roaring back in the last few days after the earnings, and you can see it's moved up from $18 up to a high of 30 on Friday, or was that just yesterday? Yeah, just yesterday. So
Yep.
it's certainly been on a little bit of a run.
All right, excellent, guys. So a
There
lot
you
of
go.
interesting stuff happening here. Let's get to it, guys. As usual, if you're joining for the first time, we're gonna go over our gappers list, see what's going on over here. We got quite a bit this morning. Then we'll do our Nasdaq active, Nasdaq gainers. Let me move this out of the way, and then we'll get into some announcements. Then we'll find levels of support and resistance of these stocks and kind of build our watch list and start fine tuning what we can watch for today and what's going to be in play. So let's start over with MYOB. So MYOV here. What do we have? So this one is scapping up 65%. Pre-market activity looks pretty wild right now. Again, it's got some great volume, 4 million shares traded so far, so that's quite a bit. And as regards to a flow, it's at 87 million shares flow, so it's not a low flow. It is on the lower side on price wise, right? Trading at $6 now at 10, so it could be interesting to watch. Peter, do you have any news on this one today as why we're getting this movement?
Yeah, absolutely. So they've had some positive news on phase 3 trials of a prostate cancer drug. So that's directly what's driving the increase this morning.
All right, so we got some really significant volume coming in, guys. And again, we're getting a good active pre-market activity. We got to be careful with these. Although it is not a low float, right? It's 87 million shares flow. It still can trade pretty wild, especially with the type of volume it's getting today. I mean, it's already up 65%, right? From $6 all the way up to 10. So we still got to be very cautious with this one, but it's going to be one that we should definitely watch this morning. MDCO is on here, 681,000 shares traded so far. We do have this up 25% right now. Oh, pre-market activity is not looking all that great. We had this one before in the past. I remember having this on our watch list. I don't recall how well it trades, but again, you tell here the daily chart is not as clean. You got some flat areas over here. You do have several pops. So it's not all that bad. But again, just this pre-market activity right now, it's not giving us anything exciting to look at. Probably a couple of block trades seems like, but again, nothing great in this pre-market activity. So we'll keep that on there. We'll come back to it, see if anything better can come out of that. CLVS. Yep.
Just on MDCO, this one, I think it might be worth watching today. It depends on whether we get any news. So MDCO is moving on rumors that came out overnight of a potential buyout by Novartis, NVS. And well, this is probably not going to move Novartis's stock, but because it's just a rumor, neither company has been available for comment in what I've seen in the news so far. So if either company comments, that's when we could see a lot of movement. So MDCO, yeah, as you said, not really doing much right now, but it could jump, whenever they comment, if they comment.
Gotcha. All right. So we'll definitely be on the lookout on that. And again, if it's a rumor, right, if it's not a confirmed buyout, it can be tradable, right? You can have a range in movement here. Once it's a confirmed buyout, this is when things just go flat. We saw that a couple of 2 weeks ago with Fitbit and some other stocks that had actual buyouts that just really traded pretty much flat with tons of volume. So this one, we'll keep an eye on it as we develop this watch list here. So CLVS, guys, this one here is up 5.9, 500,000 shares traded at the moment. We have traded this one in the past, guys. You can see here a beautiful bounce. You got several days on here that has some momentum, had some good volume. At the moment, pre-market activity is not looking great, although it has great volume. Look at this one candle here sitting with 167, creating a lot of this volume. Again, I just don't like the pre-market action right now. We'll come back to it. Let's see if it develops. Daily chart has been on a run the last couple of days, right? Since early November, you can see it's just found the bottom here around $3. Beautiful bounces. Again, buyers stepping in here, and then you can see they had a nice gap, and I've been able to hold this weird, not clean uptrend, right? This is not a clean uptrend. You can see here how it's just very choppy and just kind of all over the place. You're not getting a nice ABCD pattern movement, but it is holding this uptrend, right? And you do have an area here where if we can get above that, we have possible gap area here that we can reach over between $9 and $10. So interesting on CLVS. We'll keep it on here. Let's go over to Teva. Again, Teva's weird, but it has been ripping. It has been ripping pretty nice. Again, had a nice little base here that it has found. It is trading at a lower price now compared to what we used to trade in the past. But it's been a nice uptrend, guys. This uptrend has been pretty nice. I have traded, or I'm not traded, but at least looked at Teva over the last couple of 2-3 weeks, and again, has not really traded very well, has not been very clean. Today they have 521,000 shares traded, and even with this volume, we're not getting a very clean pre-market activity, right? So it's just we're not getting a nice flow here. So we'll keep an eye on it. Let's see if it can get going. I do like the fact that it's been able to rip above certain areas of resistance. You have this one here. This one here broke out of it, looks like yesterday. So that's good. So again, this is pretty strong, has a better, nice uptrend than what we've seen on CLVS. So hopefully that can continue. It looks like we're getting a nice little bounce back here today. MT is a foreign stock, guys. It does not trade very well. On 138,000 traded right now, but look at this daily chart again. Pretty choppy. A lot of gaps in between each candle. Again, nothing to watch there. Let's head over to YNDX. Looks like this one you guys had a lot of fun with yesterday. Again, making some really nice moves. This morning, pre-market is pretty flat, pretty dead. Only 102,000 shares traded, but just look how this is being traded. It's just kind of flat overall. I do expect that we can get some continuation play out of YNDX. Again, this is a big day, guys. 17 million shares compared to what they normally trade around. Looks like around probably 4 or 5, or maybe less, maybe 2 million shares per day. They traded 17 yesterday, and a nice beautiful gap, kind of held all day, looks like, based on what Peter was telling us. And then here we can get some kind of continuation. I do like the daily, guys. We were above this level of prior resistance, which is it's funny how it is the low of yesterday, right? So it gapped up right to that prior resistance. It's above that now, and over to the last resistance over here around 40. What's this? 40.38. So again, good stock to watch. Let's see if we can get some possible continuations out of YNDX this morning. All right, let's look at Roku. Have not seen what this has been doing lately. So again, I recall we had a nice rip on Roku. Look at this drop here. I don't remember this part here, but we had a nice drop here. We're back at 165 on Roku. Holy cow. All right, so this is definitely exciting. We're back at these levels where we hit that 180 a couple of weeks ago, actually a month or two ago in September. So we're back up there again after a beautiful gap down, and just look at the way this thing has been ripping. So Roku is going to be fun to watch, guys. Again, it's stuck between some levels now. We have some consolidation happening here, highs and lows from yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on Roku. Volume is there. It is down 2.1. Pre-market activity is not all that great, but we know Roku is going to get the volume. It's a hot stock right now. It reminds me of those stocks like when we had XNet, when we had MU, AMD. These stocks just moved constantly with some great trading throughout the intraday. Roku is one of those stocks that it can give you some good moves even with a bad pre-market activity. Let's look at Home Depot HD.
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Just going to comment on Roku. It was hitting its head on 160 for a while, and then yesterday it very easily sort of finally broke through that level and went up to, as you said, about 165-ish. So now that it's back down below it, as you said, it'll be worth watching. I mean, obviously it's trending up here, not at all-time highs, but it's had such a run that it may very well test that, because Roku is quite unpredictable. So, you know, it's fun to watch. It's tough to trade. I took a trade on it, actually a short, and it was just so whippy that I panicked out. If I'd stayed in, it would have been a fantastic trade, but I find it a hard trade.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It can be tricky to trade. I mean, it's one of those stocks that you got to give it a nice stop, right? If you don't, you can get stopped out so easily because just the pullbacks are just so deep sometimes, right? So you got to be careful with that. All right, let's look at HD. So HD is on here. Pretty wild pre-market activity right now. 463,000 shares traded. We are down 3.4. What's going on with HD this morning, Peter? Do we have earnings or?
Yeah, so HD is earnings. Now, in their case, a little bit of mixed results. They actually beat on the earnings themselves, but they missed on their revenue number, which usually is an indicator of future profitability. And they actually cut their guidance, their forward-looking guidance. So not only is it taking down HD, but it seems to be having a knock-on effect across the industry. If you look, they're not on our list, but Lowe's, LOW, TJ Maxx, TJX, like there's a bunch of stocks that are down because of HD, and one we'll talk about in a second with KSS. So we're seeing general industry, retail industry being pulled down this morning.
All right. So we'll keep an eye on HD. Again, pre-market right now, it's not looking all that great. It is a nicey stock, doesn't move great. Look at the daily, guys. It's pretty nasty. This is not a clean daily chart. But when it is in play, it can give us some opportunities. Let's hope to see that today on HD. Next, we have M, which is Macy's. See what we got going on with M here. So M is 1 million shares traded so far. Now, M is very difficult to trade, guys. It can be very choppy at the open. You can tell by this daily chart here. Look at some of these days, just kind of bouncing back, engulfing each other, not really doing much. So again, it's very tough to trade. I remember we had a nice little drop here, and again, this was a difficult day to trade here. It didn't really trade very well neither. So today we're down 5.8 on Macy's. I'm assuming this is the same thing you're mentioning, Norm, with these retailers. Oh, sorry, Peter.
Yeah, I've got to believe so. That's all right. I'll answer to Norm. I don't know. I can find no news on Macy's. It's a little weird because it's a very large volume. I've got to believe somebody knows something. They don't report earnings themselves until Thursday morning at 8 a.m. But with the size of volume, I mean, there's obviously something going on, but I don't see anything in the news. So, my first instinct would be that it's a sympathy play, but it just seems like way too much volume for a simple sympathy play. There's something else going on, which is just not made public yet.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on this one. Again, right now pre-market is looking actually pretty good because it is an icy stock. Usually does not have a great pre-market activity, but again, Macy's can be very difficult to trade. Doesn't move much sometimes unless we have some good catalyst forcing movement out of it. Next on our list we have Peter, you mentioned this one earlier. It was in play yesterday. Today they have some volume, 205,000 shares traded. Okay, pre-market activity, but man, this thing, as you mentioned, has been getting hit pretty hard. Look at all these red candles here, some very deep drops happening on this one over the last couple of days. Today they're kind of getting somewhat of a bounce of yesterday's low. Not sure what that is going to create for us, but again, pre-market activity looks interesting, at least to watch for a possible continuation today. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this one this morning. KSS, as you mentioned earlier, Peter, this one also moving as well with the rest of these other retail stocks. This one is down even more, 13%, 1.4 million shares traded. I mean, this one looks like it has news on its own, the way this thing is moving with the volume. So definitely going to watch this one, guys. Again, I think we're going to get some good movements out of this one. So, Peter, anything specific for KSS outside what you mentioned earlier?
KSS. Yeah, it's also earnings. So they actually had earnings this morning. They did miss their estimates, and they cut their forward-looking guidance. It's usually that forward guidance that causes the bigger drops, which is exactly what's happening on Kohl's. One of our members, just to go back quickly, guys, one of our members posted a link. They did find an article that I didn't see about Macy's. So it looks like their website was hacked, and customer payment info has been taken. So they haven't released, as best I can tell, exactly how much data that impacts. But we know whenever we see these data breaches, that obviously is a big issue for a company. And that must be exactly what's bringing Macy's down this morning.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. They got some good volume too, 1.1 million shares traded. So this is definitely something to watch. That type of news can cause some movements today towards the downside, especially depending how big the issue is, right? Depending how many people got affected, that could be something we want to watch today. All right, guys, so let's go over to our NASDAQ gainers, NASDAQ active. MDCO we have on our list. Rumors of a buyout, pretty flat right now, not doing much. Great volume, though, so we'll see if this can get going one way or the other. SAEX, I believe this is a foreign stock if I'm not mistaken, but either way, horrible pre-market activity. We do have 938,000 shares traded. Look at this daily chart, guys. This is nasty stuff. You don't want to be dealing with this. Look at how choppy it is. Look how the bodies on these candles are pretty small. You only have wicks for the most parts. Here and there, you have some spurts where this thing takes off and it does nicely, giving you looks like a beautiful run. Again, that's just looking at it from 30,000 feet. Not sure in the intraday on this candle how that actually traded out, right? But overall, this one doesn't look too interesting, guys. One that I'm going to pass on. Volatility index.
Yeah,
yep.
SAEX is a tough trade. It's a very low float. I think it's only a couple million shares. They did have news this morning, so they announced some new projects, $130 million worth of new Alaskan projects. But again, it's usually only these very small companies with small floats where, $100 million worth of new projects is going to result in a big pump in the stock. I mean, it's up significantly, right? I mean, pre-market, it's gapping up 175%. But keep in mind, guys, this is a stock it's like a dollar stock, right? That happens to be trading at $4 this morning. So as Carlos said,
stay away from that. So here we have a volatility index, obviously down. It's been taking a nice hit with the markets going on. This will be doing the opposite. AMD, let's see what AMD is up to. So AMD, oh my God, AMD's been on a tear, guys. Look at this beautiful breakout here. There were several days on here that we took trades on AMD. We called out trades above certain areas of resistance. If it breaks out of this, it can run. And I saw a lot of you guys take these trades, right? So good job there. This continues to rip higher, guys. Look at the beautiful pattern on the uptrend, pullbacks towards, testing that area of resistance, and then it takes off again. And had a great day yesterday, looks like. I'm not sure how the intraday looks, but overall, AMD is one to watch, guys. This is a beautiful bounce. I mean, this thing is ripping nicely. So I'm going to put AMD on here. Might not watch it, might not make our final list. The pre-market activity is not looking all that great right now, but we do have some volume, and this thing looks like it's been trading pretty nice so far. GNPX at the moment, Penny stock, we'll skip that one. FCEL, always on this list, nothing great about it. CLVS, we have. AMRH, penny stock, we'll skip that one. Roku is on our list, we'll keep an eye on that one. ADXS, horrible penny stock as well, nothing to watch there. And then we have our NASDAQ indicator here. Over NASDAQ gainers, guys, we have a SAEX, as we mentioned earlier, not one we want to watch. It's a float, and also you got to be careful with these stocks with that type of news, as Peter was mentioning. MDCO, we have on our list, pretty flat right now still with some good volume. GoGo is just gapped up, but it's not really going anywhere. Only 15,000 shares traded, so nothing good there. ESEA, also penny stock, we'll skip that one. TRPX, garbage. And AGRX, also not looking great. That's an interesting couple of days here, but again, this is the type of stuff you want to stay away from, guys. Probably it's a low float too. Let's check the float just to be curious here. AGRX, our float here is actually it's a higher float. It's 42 million shares float. I'm shocked that it has such a high float and it's trading like this, right? So again, even worse. So we'll skip that. Next on our list we have CNSP. CNSP also not looking great. Looks like it's a recent IPO here. CNSP. Peter, did you trade or look at this IPO? I know you got your scanners when IPOs come out. Was this one you were waiting for? Or this is nothing to be fond of.
It did. I mean, it was one of the ones on my list that came out, but it didn't have good volume, I think, when it was released. So nothing I traded.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so guys, in the chat room, we call out when these IPOs come out, and Peter you have your whole entire checklist of things to look for, which is pretty neat. So if you guys are want to see that, Peter, do you have a video on that? I believe you do. If not, I think I can just give you an idea.
Yeah, I don't know that we have a specific video on how to trade IPOs. It's just one of the special circumstance trade patterns that I look for. But you're right, I've got a whole set of rules that I follow.
Excellent. All right, let's head over on to the last one on this list, PSNL. Nothing happening here, guys. No volume, so we'll skip that one. All right, so we got a bit of a list here. Not all looks great. We'll definitely get rid of some. Peter, what do you like this morning that's not already on our watch list here?
Yeah, a couple. So you mentioned AMD. It's on my no trade list. However, Intel and NVIDIA are in an interesting place where they're in these high performance chip wars, and it's raising all three ships. So as opposed to them taking each other down, they seem to be all rising. And NVIDIA has been moving. Some days it moves okay, some days it doesn't. So it's one to watch. Intel rarely moves well, and of course AMD, as we know, is fairly spotty. But all three of them are options if you like that area. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Roku, obviously one to watch. I think it's on the list this morning, so we can keep an eye on that. The last two I'll mention are Microsoft and Apple. Both are at all-time highs, and both are just seem to be motoring the last couple of weeks. So they've provided good trading opportunities. I like trading Microsoft better than Apple, but both are sort of potentials to keep an eye on.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so these all look great. Again, just all of them just going higher and higher, ripping nicely with the markets even heading higher. So again, good stuff to watch there. All right, let's go to the chat. Let's see what you guys have. So Helen, you have KRTX. That's a good possible continuation, right? KRTX. Let's see what it's doing this morning. Yeah, so you can get a good possible continuation out of this. You got to be very careful, guys. This thing is very, very extended. Just of yesterday, we went from 32 all the way up to 100. So just be cautious on trading this one way or the other. The ATR, again, we're probably not going to get the best read on KRTX here, right? It's probably going to be very low at the moment. Yes, $7. Not that low, but it's a lot higher than that, right? Went from 30 all the way to 100. So just be cautious with this one, guys. Be careful with this one here.
Yeah, that ATR is misleading, of course, because, I mean, yesterday it moved, the price moved $80. So the actual ATR prior to that was somewhere probably around 50 cents or so. So
yeah,
and it's a low float, not a micro float, but it does have a low float. I mean, yesterday it flipped over its float like 2 times, right? So we just today the second day ones, I don't know, like they make me really nervous because it could go any way really fast. I mean, yesterday it was literally jumping $5 in a single 1 minute candle. So you got to be careful.
Yep. Only trade this if Brian says it's going to go to 200. then just go all in. But either way, guys, this one here, something about the second day, you want to be very, very careful. Again, a lot of people are in here, having a good time sitting from 35. Anybody sitting from 15, if they still have any shares here, this thing gives any sign of weakness, they're bailing out, and this thing could drop very fast. You don't want to be the guy that has the fear of missing out, jumping in now. Right? This thing made its move. Whoever traded this yesterday is already done with this. They're looking at it for a possible collapse. So just be cautious with it. And again, it's all about managing your risk, guys. We're not telling you not to trade it, but just manage your risk. And when you have a stock like the high right now is 93.50, the low is 82. How do you manage your risk unless you're taking 2 or 3 shares, right? So just be cautious with that one. Next we have Disney. Let's take a look at that. Disney is interesting. Has a nice strong day here. A couple of days ago, bounced back yesterday and kind of sitting pretty flat at the moment. So the daily chart looks very interesting, guys. Like it wants to go higher, probably test this 150 area, but I do not like the pre-market right now. It's just not looking all that great. But this is normal for Disney. This usually does not have a great pre-market activity. They've been in a nice little tear. Doesn't have a lot of volume right now, so I'm not going to watch it based on that. But everything else looks great on Disney, especially this daily chart. So you can put this on your secondary list and hopefully get some nice movements out of this later in the morning. Nvidia, we talked about already, guys. So Nvidia is also in that area of the Apple and these other Microsoft that are at all-time high. Well, Nvidia's not at all-time high, but Apple and Microsoft are also been trending pretty strong. You can definitely watch any of these. Right now, pre-market activity is not looking all that great. Not saying they're not going to get the volume. Nvidia, Apple, not so much Microsoft on an everyday basis, but these guys get the volume. And if they're strong, they can break out nicely. Now, what I do like about Nvidia, guys, look at the test we've been having here at 121. I'm sorry, 280 looks like 211 and 80 cents looks like here. So again, strong resistance here. If it can break out of that, you got some potentials over to 217. So be on the lookout for that. If it continues to kind of consolidate here, we just need one big push above this, and we have some room to run here. Next we have PTON. So PTON, this is Peloton. These guys IPO'd not so long ago. It looks like they had a great day yesterday and all last week. A nice bounce back off this 21.91. This is heading higher, so this is trading very well. Pre-market activity, guys, not all that great right now, so I'm not going to watch this one. Only 9,000 shares traded. We're going to put that to the side for now. Let's look at Now and Billy. Now is not great pre-market activity, guys. I do like the pop here, right? We had a nice big day, green day yesterday. Kind of broke out above this area of resistance, so it's kind of hanging out here. But the pre-market right now is pretty crappy. Has some volume, 80,000, but again, not all that great yet. We do have some other ones that look better here, so I'm going to focus on those. Put that one on your secondary list. Come back to it and see how it's trading as we get going later in the morning, right? Billy, let's look at Billy. So Billy's been fun to trade. I traded Billy probably when I first started trading. Brian did a beautiful call on Billy. I was not a moderator, I was a member, and man, that trade turned out amazing. So I got a good history and emotional attachment to Billy. Right now, it's not doing anything great at all. Pre-market activity is looking pretty crappy at the moment. Look at this daily, though. This daily's just been coiling around here. Again, it looks bullish. If it can break out of this, we have some potentials to run even higher. 1770 is the level I have here. We also have the high from yesterday as well. I'm sorry, that's the pre-market high as well over here. But again, pre-market is not looking good, guys. Not for something to watch. Also, I do like keep a note if you're going to watch this. You have an area here of resistance, right? It's kind of hanging around the same area now. So if it can break out of that, I'm not sure what the short flow is on this, but you do have some possibilities to run to 1770. Another good one to put on your secondary list as well. Roku we have on watch. What else do we have? So Acorn Trader. So SAEX. This one here, again, it's not trading well for me. Look at the daily chart. It's very nasty, guys. Again, it's just one of those stocks that I'm just going to stay away from. It does have great volume. It's up 172% this morning. I mean, this is up really, really nice. But again, it's a 3.9 million shares flow, so it's very, very low flow. This could be a good one for the low flow team, but even for as a low flow, I don't like the pre-market activity, guys. It's starting right here, right? This is this morning's pre-market activity. This is not looking great to me. This looks like it's just going to sell off. I do not have shares for short. Doesn't look strong at all. It's not building any patterns whatsoever. And this type of low flow stocks, trading this much volume, you want to see some kind of patterns forming here, or else it's just not gonna. It doesn't have the potential to trade very well. So we'll come back to that one. We'll review it tomorrow, actually, in the pre-market. We'll see how this traded. I'm not going to watch it, but let's go back and see if we if we can look at that tomorrow and see how that went. TJ Maxx, TJX here. This one is again in that same area as the M Macy's, Kohl's, and HD. This one doesn't look as great. So we have other ones like Kohl's that looks amazing. Look at this pre-market activity, guys. It's perfect. 1.5 million shares traded. We're down 13%. This one's gonna be fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to this one here out of all of those. So I will skip TJX for now. I'll watch this one. Has a lot more activity and a better pre-market action. All right, what else we have, guys? VKTX. That sounds familiar. VKTX. What do we have here? Oh, this is horrible pre-market. We did trade this in the past. Looks like over here we have some levels. But again, right now, not a great pre-market activity. We do have some volume here. The daily shows that we've been on a nice little pop here, kind of holding, trying to get above this 852, which has been last area of resistance right around here. But again, not liking this as much as everything else I have on here at the moment, guys. So I'm going to skip on this one. Just way too many for us to watch. And we do have some good ones on here. Macy's has some news that I want to watch. Kohl's has some earnings I want to watch as well. HD's not doing much right now, but I like the drop. So again, I think we're going to focus on what we have on here. All right, guys, we got quite a bit. Let's head over to announcements. Peter, if you could take it away there. Let me bring up this screen. What do we have?
Yeah. One thing I'll mention just before we get to announcements, Carlos, I don't know if you can, but throw up MDCO just on
MDCO.
Just select that.
Yep.
So guys, we've got some pretty good data, and the information out there has always been, it's generally better than it has been in the past. I actually wanted to see it on, just to see the short float on TI, if you could there, Carlos.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because one of our members pointed out the fact that every once in a while, the data gets wonky. So look here. It says the short float is 105% with 132% of the shares held by institutions. Obviously, that's incorrect data, right? I mean, it's illegal to short more than 100%, and institutions would be in big trouble if that was actually the case. And certainly you can't have institutions holding more than the available number of shares. So, I saw this morning DAS was having a little bit of data issues. I see TI with some inaccurate data. So I just want to, just keep in mind that all these indicators we're using, they're always general indicators that give you a sense of what's happening. You can never trust them to be 100% accurate. So just a general warning that, occasionally that happens. So when you see a short float of 40% or whatever the number is, it's in that area, especially with short floats, as that data is at least 2 weeks out of date by the time we get to see it. All right, so I just thought I'd provide that little notice. And yeah, let's go to our announcements for this morning, as we continue to have a number of things going on here in the Bearable Traders Room. So our fall test drive continues with Trade Ideas. We're proud to be working with Trade Ideas on that. You can get 10 days for only $8.99 if you want to try loading your own Trade Ideas scanners. We provide them all day to you in the room, but there's tons of ways you can customize it. You can set up scanners that are very specific to you, or leverage a million scanners, quite literally, that people have set up through their network. So it's be worth doing it for that low price, just to see what it's like and how it can benefit your trading. Speaking of scanners, we're interested in seeing what your scanner settings are. We're always looking to improve what we do here in the room. And if you've got some ideas of different scanners we can put up, post them. In our forums, we've got links where you can post your Trade Ideas scanners, and we're willing to reward you for it. So if you do that, you can win an iPad or, frankly, an iDevice of your choice. Andrew has promised to buy an iPhone, an iPad. Hell, if you want an Android device, I guarantee you he will buy you one of those as well. But the best idea that's posted will win that, and it's a great prize for a little bit of work that, frankly, will benefit you as well. So take a look at our forums. Please submit your ideas into the scanner contest. And I know we only have a few submissions because a lot of people just rely on our scanners. So you've got a great chance of winning. Odds are fantastic. The best trader competition is running in DAS. I know yesterday we had a number of users that were asking us, why don't we run our own competition? Because we did it once, and then DAS actually took the idea and ran with it. And being that they're running a bigger competition, we decided to support them in driving theirs. And we're very proud that a lot of the BBT traders have been doing very well in those. So so that's the place if you want to try one of those competitions. They have some great prizes, because DAS actually has access to things we can't, such as providing you with access for a day on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, which is just a great experience if you've never had a chance to do it. We do have some upcoming meetups, but looks like our announcements are a little out of date. So we do have 2 upcoming meetups coming up. One in London in the UK happening, and then one in Toronto. So for our members that are either in the Toronto, Canada area or in London, or are willing to go to either of those 2 places, both great global cities, it's worth checking them out. And those dates are November 29th for Toronto and December 14th for London. So we just did the Clearwater Beach meetup this past weekend. It was a fantastic success. So if you want to meet fellow traders, have some free drinks, it's a great place to go to. All right, moving on. Our lifetime memberships, as we've mentioned several times, you can now do it in installments if you didn't want or can afford to pay it in all one lump sum. So go to our website. The information's right there on how you can pay in installments. And for right now, if you do sign up for Lifetime, we've got Lifetime membership. You can sign up with our Lifetime membership and get a 35% discount. Use the pre-market LT35 to get a 35% discount. Our room is asking us about the pre-tax session. That's Mayor, you're leading me into the next item, and thank you for doing that. So absolutely, today we're going to have a guest with us in the room. We don't often bring guest speakers in, but Robert Green will be joining us from Trader Tax Law. greentradertax.com is his website. So for anybody, specifically those that are in the US that want to know how to manage the tax treatment of their trading activities, this is going to be a great session. It's good general information anyways. I'm actually interested to hear it, despite the fact that I'm not American, but especially if you're in the US and if it's your first year, this is a must watch. So it'll be a Q&A with Robert Green right here in our chat room, live at noon today. So you don't have to go anywhere else if you're a BBT member than right here in our room. And Robert Green will give us his perspective and some overview and answer your direct questions. So that's going to be a great session. And last but not least, I mean to say, if you want to join us and you're on YouTube and you haven't, you're not sure about joining long term or you just don't have the money, give us a trial. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and impressed. We have a great community. Our members are absolutely fantastic, and our moderators they're okay. So it's a great place to be, though. We trade live all day with you. We have moderators on who help you through your trades. We do trade reviews. We have guest speakers. We have a great time in both conversation about the markets and about psychology and life in general. So it's a great place to be. You can get a 1-week trial with the code premarket24. Does not auto renew, and it gives you a chance to try the room out. I said I think you'll be impressed and will want to stick with us. All right. With that, Gary, they're asking if that Robert Green session will be recorded. I got to imagine our intent is to record it. I'll have to admit I don't know for sure, but I will absolutely check and encourage that be recorded. So if it, so I imagine it probably will be, because it's be good information that people can review. All right, that's it for announcements, Carlos.
All right, excellent, guys. All right, folks, so let's get to it. We got quite a bit of a list here. Let's start over with MYOV. So this one on here continue. Oh, see, this is looking a lot better now. This is looking very, very nice. Breaking out of the pre-market highs and heading over to 12 with some serious volume, guys. 6.6 million shares traded now. So again, definitely want to have on our list this morning. Let's go back and look at some levels. So I'm obviously the pre-market low is not anything we want to mark down. It's all the way down here by your highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. So I'm just gonna go over to the left over here and start looking at areas we can mark down. Over here, where the price action is now, looks like right at 12 or so, a little bit higher. You do have an area of resistance right here, 1186. If you go back and look at this days here, several days testing that 1186 right on there. Below that, you do have an area around 1096. I'm going to mark that down. And then you have a beautiful area of resistance right here at 10. Obviously, these whole dollar numbers on these stocks that are trading a little bit lower are going to be important. So 10 is a good one. And just for the heck of it, because this is just so clean here, guys, just want to note this, 845. And why 845? If you draw a line on here, you can see where you have your support. Right on here you have your support, and then when it breaks down from here, it becomes resistance, right at 845. So that's going to be nice to watch. I'm going to put that on there in case this thing decides to head back down towards the bottom. So above this pre-market high sitting at 1188, we do have another area up here of resistance, which is sitting at 1296, and then a nice one over here at 1428. and then all the way up here, guys. A huge gap in between that 1428 and this 1664. Again, not sure if it's going to get there and start closing this gap, but we saw what happened yesterday with that stock. If I forget the ticker now, anything's possible, so we'll definitely keep an eye on this one. So again, trading pretty well, guys. Serious volume right now. Just be cautious if you're going to trade this in the pre-market. Be very careful. Make sure you're practicing good risk management. You can trade this in the pre-market. It is tradable. Just make sure you have a plan in place to trade this and a strategy that you're going to use while trading this in the pre-market. It's funny. Sometimes you get people like, oh, I'm never traded pre-market. You know, it's not tradable. It is tradable, guys. Any time frame in the markets where there's trades happening, it is tradable. Here, there are people that are finding value, transacting buys and sells. Obviously, they're finding some kind of value in this trade right now, right? So just keep that in mind. Risk management is more important than the actual time you're trading. The MDCO, guys, not doing much right now. It's got some great value, 1.5 million shares traded right now. But again, it's just pretty flat. So unless this thing moves one way or the other, it's not looking too interesting pre-market wise. So I'm going to mark down our high of our pre-market sitting at 76.80. Actually, 76 on the dot, high of the pre-market. The low of the pre-market sitting all the way down here, close to the high of yesterday, around 60, 78, 60, 61. If we go over to the left on here, let's see if we have anything all the way back here. I think we are all-time highs on MDCO. That will make it exciting as well if we are. Guys, looks like we are at all-time high. Yeah, I'm going back at least 52-week high for sure. But yeah, it looks like we are at all-time high from what I can see. I don't want to go too far back. Yep, all-time high, guys. So again, that makes it more interesting, guys. So definitely worth watching. There are no levels up here besides the pre-market high and the low of the pre-market, right? There's nothing else that you're going to find here. So this is a nice way to break past the all-time high with this beautiful gap. Heading up towards 28% up this morning. So definitely worth watching. I like that it's all-time high. Makes this a little bit more interesting now that we have this on here. CLVS, guys, pre-market activity is a little bit all over the place. I'm going to remove this one. We have some really good ones that are trading very well today. I do like the daily chart. You have a beautiful ABCD pattern here forming and breakout. But again, it's just we have some great other stuff that's trading nicely. So I'm going to remove this one. Let's look at Teva. Teva has a beautiful pre-market activity. I wish it would trade like this at the open, but it does not. It trades very, very choppy at the open. Does not give you clean moves. I do like the fact that we have found a bottom here at 650, and from there we have been just gunning on the way higher here. So towards the bottom, guys, you got the highs and lows from yesterday. You don't need to add any more down here. Pretty clean highs and lows of support and resistance that have been built. Your high of it, whoa, look at that right there. Somebody's dropped a huge order, 975, was 9 million? I don't even know what that is, 90 million, whatever it is, it's a lot. But it's just, yeah, 984,000, there it is. So again, huge orders just dropped there. High of the pre-market, 1075 at the moment. Let's go towards the left. This has definitely been a lot higher than this. If we have here above 1075, we do have an area of support and resistance at 1132, and then one all the way up here, which is nice and clean at 1197, right below that $12 mark. So you can see here the support, and then becomes resistance, and you get the drop, right? We see this so often, this pattern, even on the daily chart. Breaks the resistance, comes back and tests that. Breaks the support, comes back and tests that as resistance, and then you get the drop. I mean, that pattern happens in the intraday, in the daily chart, weekly chart. You're going to see that in all different time frames. So again, Teva's got a nice pre-market here. Just not sure about it. Going to keep it on here. Might not make our final list, guys. So we'll see how that develops. YNDX for a possible continuation today. Had a great day yesterday. This morning, pre-market is not doing anything great, guys. So I'm just going to remove this one. I will look for this one to hit our turbo breakup scanners. If we see something great happening there, we can definitely tune into it. We do have the highs and lows of pre-market close, previous day close already on here around that $40 mark. The only level I'm going to add here is this one here, because I do like the support that we're getting at 37.11. If you can see here, you have resistance over here. You have great support as well after this bounce here. Great support here between 38 and 37.11. So I'm going to mark that down. But again, going to remove it, guys, because again, I'm not seeing anything great. This needs to get a lot more volume and get going to be able to be in a continuation play for today. Here we have, we already looked at Teva. Here we have Roku. Roku is, again, pre-market activity is not looking all that great, but Roku is exciting to watch. Right now, we're stuck within some levels, highs and lows of the last two trading days. We do have the previous day close as well here at exactly 160 and 12 cents. So if we can break out of this area, it's going to be nice to trade. Towards the bottom, let's find an area of support Very clean level right here, guys. This 139.52. This is very clean. Look at the support here. Look at the resistance. Again, support one more time. And then it doesn't quite give you resistance, but you do have an area of support here as well. So that 139.52 is going to be important. If it can break down from this 150, right? It's got to break from 150 to be possible to get to this next area of support. If you look at within this area here, there's no clear support and resistance. So you don't want to just draw lines here, it has to be something that everybody's watching, right? So everybody's looking at this. Everybody's looking at this. They're so clear when they stick out like that. You want other people to be looking at that level. If nobody's looking at that level, then guess what? It's not important, right? It's not going to bounce from there, right? Towards the top, guys, above 165, which is the high from yesterday, right? This thing is coming back nicely. You do have a level right here at 169.74, and also all the way up here, the all-time high, I think 176.50ish or so. So plenty of levels for Roku this morning, guys. Again, volume is coming in. We don't have a great pre-market activity, but I suspect Roku is going to give us some action today. Here is HD. So HD is not one of my favorites this morning. I don't like the way it trades. It can be very choppy. They do have news today. 629,000 shares traded so far. The price action is sitting right at a level of support, right on here, 230-ish. 27, so I'm going to mark that down in case the price action moves away from that. We do have that level on there. Towards the bottom, nice area of support here, 225.30, and then look at this 219. Basically is it was a support before. Now we can move it up towards the pre-market low right here at 220, 219.97. I'm not going to add any more levels. I'm probably not going to watch this one, but towards the top, guys, you do have your highs and lows from the last 2 trading days all in here. We got moving averages as well, but again, not one of the favorite ones this morning for me. Here's MU's got some news today of a possible data breach. We don't know how severe the situation is, but it is gapping down quite a bit, 6% with 1.4 million shares traded. With that type of news, I definitely want to watch this. This thing has been holding the pre-market low pretty tight at 1584. If it cracks that, we have some room to run here all the way down to 1493. If you look at it in here, this daily chart looks nasty. There's no clear levels in here. Maybe this one here, right? Yeah, 1520. You do have some days bouncing off of that. You know what? Let's mark that down. That's probably the only level within this nastiness here that you can possibly find, right? 1523, and clearly 1493. You have some bounces on here as well. So we'll do that. Towards the top, guys, don't add any more. It's just there's plenty on here already. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading day, previous day close. If you want to get fancy, you can put here 1746, and also this one up here 1785. But overall, don't need to add any more in here. There's plenty there for us on Macy's. So again, I love the pre-market activity, guys, but don't be biased. Yes, they have bad news, but look how it's been holding this 1584 in the pre-market, right? That's a strong level. We want to see it break from that, or a possible rising level where it sells up, it hits the VWAP, and then comes right back down. I'm sure Brian will be calling that out in the chat room live today if we do get that possible play here. Here is I. So I is pre-market. Again, it's not looking all that clean. Has been having a horrible last few days with some huge red bars here, breaking down nicely. Low of the pre-market sitting at a 682, which is yesterday's lows, right on there. Then above they have the previous day close, which is the high of the pre-market. Then above that we do have 1118. As we fine tune our list, as we get closer to 930, this one might not make it, guys. Yes, it has a great drop here, and hopefully if it does that, we can catch some action out of it. But again, it's already very extended on the daily. Not sure how much this can drop after being down so much here. Coast is one that is definitely going to be on my list this morning. Low of the pre-market continues to break down even lower, but I am going to mark down this area here, this 50.82. You can see how that was holding for a while in the pre-market. Our new low is going to be down here at 49.90. I'm going to mark that down. You can see also 49.90 area of resistance right on here, of support, right? Breaks out the resistance, comes back, tested the resistance, not support, and then the breakout. Right here you have a nice drop, comes almost to that support one more time, that 49.91, and now in the pre-market we're testing that. If we break down from that, we're gonna have some room to run here, guys. People are going to bail because what happens is everybody's waiting. Well, not everybody, but most people are going to wait for a bounce here, right? Because what it did last time, it bounced from there several times. If it breaks down from that, it has the potential to run to 48.23, so we'll be on the lookout for that on Macy. So more levels towards the bottom, 46.06, and then also down here 44.73, just in case this thing flushes. It's down a lot already, 14% on the 2 million shares traded so far. Towards the top, guys, We have a clear area here of resistance of 52.12. You can see several days just banging their heads on that level. Breakout, now they're using it as support, and then the breakout to even a higher level. Here we have a clear level, also 54.19. When you have these levels where it changes the direction of the stock, you want to have these levels on your chart, right? This thing heads up, hits 54.19 and changes direction, right? That's an extreme reversal there. You want to have that level on your list, and you can see how that reacts later as we get closer to that price range again, right? We hit that 54.19. People that got in here short or that sold are going to do the same thing here, most likely, right? What happens? We drop again. Eventually, we break out of it, retest that, and then have the breakout. So plenty of stuff going on here with Coast today, guys. Definitely going to be on my favorites to watch this morning. So AMD, I'm going to remove. It has 1.1 million shares traded right now, but it's not looking all that great in the pre-market. I'm not saying they're not going to get volume, but this is one that we don't want to waste our bandwidth in the morning at the open, right? Let's watch other stuff that's trading very well with some good volume, some good activity. This is not great activity, right? Good volume, but not great activity. And then we can always come back to this at 9:30, right? And usually AMD, if you guys been watching us often in the pre-market or watching our show after we review the stocks in play from the previous day, AMD after an hour and a half puts in a beautiful trend trade if it's going to be in play. So go back and look at this chart, study this chart, go into this intradays and see how AMD trades after an hour and a half after the open. How beautiful it can catch some great moving trend trades on there. But here is Nvidia, guys. So Nvidia also one that's not doing all that much. I do like the fact that we continue to test this level here. The previous day closed at 212. If it can break out of that, that is going to be a good one to watch for long. I don't really like it for short, but for the long side, this looks very interesting on Nvidia. All right, so let's just recap. I'm not going to watch all of these. MYOV is interesting. What's the flow on MYOV, by the way? MYOV is 87. So yeah, this is worth watching here. Again, guys, good risk management. Right now, the ATR is going to be high on this one. I know it says 50 cents here, but again, that's going to be an average. If you don't know, 14 days is not going to include what it's been doing here, right? So it's doing a lot more than 50 cents today. So be very cautious on the number of shares you take. The low is at $6. The high is at $12. Again, that's a $6 move. So be very cautious. MDCO, guys, this one, I like that it's an all-time high, but again, I'm not sure about the pre-market action. Not looking all that great. How many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we're supposed to get rid of AMD. So let's get rid of that one. And NVIDIA. I'm going to get rid of those two. KISS we like. Let's see what it's going to do at this 49.91. I is suspect. This is a possible. Might not make the final list. Macy's, look at the bounce here, 1585. We talked about this, guys, right? It held the entire pre-market, so don't be short biased just yet. Let's see what this does at the open. HD, it's not looking all that great. Might not make our final list. We'll keep looking at that one. Roku is good, guys. Teva, you know what? Teva could be interesting, but it hasn't been trading well recently, so we'll see how that does. And an MDCO and MYOV are our list right now. Andrew's ready to come on, guys. He's going to fine-tune this list even a little bit more, and we're going to be ready for our 9:30 open. So take care, guys. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. I'm happy to be back. So again, thank you for all the well wishes, guys. Really, truly appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern time. Take care.
Welcome back, Carlos. Great to have you. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Good morning, Andrew.